You sing happy birthday? No?
I'm 3.
You're 3 today. Yay! Shall we go to the living room and see if you got any birthday presents from the birthday fairies?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. How does Mama love you?
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that. How much does Mama love you? There's Sophia. What are you saying, Sophia? What do you want? Please? Hey, Serena? Who loves ya?
Mommy.
Who loves you the most? That much? Oh, I think I love you more than that. The same as Leonardo. All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campioni.
What is up, Iwu crew? Today we are covering the chilling story of Elaine Campione. If you enjoy true crime, mysteries, and true stories, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Though the media coverage of this case is limited, we left no stone unturned in our investigation. Now, let's get into it. Elaine Campione had a normal enough childhood. Faye Goodine, Elaine's mother, says that she did spend a lot of time alone in her room, reading and watching TV. Gasborough Forks, New Brunswick, the small town she grew up in, was rural, and Faye says Elaine didn't mix well with a lot of people. In the year 2000, Elaine moved to Ontario, where she met Leonardo Campioni. By August 2002, the two were married. The couple moved into a small brick house, and from there, they began life as newlyweds. Neighbors knew Leo as sociable and kind, an overall happy man. Elaine was seen as his complete opposite, and she could only hope to one day have her husband's charm and charisma. In fact, Elaine's insecurities were so deeply rooted that she had convinced herself that Leo was cheating on her. At 5:30 a.m. one morning, a neighbor allegedly noticed that Elaine followed Leo in her car, making sure that he actually went to work. Troubled as Elaine might have been, little did everyone know that something far darker was lurking beneath Leo's polished exterior. In 2003, the couple welcomed their first daughter, Serena. Elaine's mother recalls the couple going back to New Brunswick to show off the new baby. Faye noticed that for a new mother, Elaine seemed detached and that she looked disinterested in the newborn. Then, in 2005, another little girl was born. The couple named her Sophia. Their daughters were both fair-haired, smiling girls who looked a lot like their mother.
Hi, Serena. It's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Serena. Happy birthday to you.
Nevertheless, the journey of parenthood didn't immediately bring joy. Elaine reported that Leo kicked her in the stomach while she was pregnant and continued to harm her during both pregnancies. After Serena and Sophia were born, Leo supposedly continued to hurt Elaine in front of the girls. Between April 2004 and June 2005, Leo was charged with 4 counts of assault, a death threat, and 1 count of bodily harm on Elaine. A separate charge was pressed after Elaine reported Leo for hitting Serena while she was in her high chair. He allegedly struck her hard enough to cause her lip to swell and bleed. Leo was released from jail on a $10,000 bond. Back at home, Leo allegedly forbade Elaine from talking to her mother and would monitor Elaine's calls to make sure she wasn't talking to her. According to Elaine, the poor treatment continued to a point where she felt as though she had no choice but to flee from her own home. In June of 2005, she went to a women's shelter where they noticed extensive bruising all over her body. The hospital documented the bruising, as well as a swollen eye. It was then that Elaine filed for divorce, asking for sole custody of Sophia and Serena and permission to move back to her parents' home in New Brunswick. In her affidavit, she said, "It is in the best interest of the children that they remain in my care." Her request was denied, causing Elaine to feel trapped in Ontario, away from her family. Following this, Leo received criminal charges and was only allowed to see his daughters during supervised visits. Elaine's mother came up to watch over her daughter for several weeks, detecting her mental decline. Faye recalled noticing that her daughter had become overwhelmed by obsessive-compulsive tics. Elaine constantly thought people were following her and that they had been instructed by Leo to take away her girls. Elaine only made right turns and refused to park beside black cars. According to her mother, she did not allow her daughters to touch anything red because red represented blood. Even though Elaine claimed that with her, the children would be in good care, the truth was that on her own, Elaine was struggling to cope with taking care of the girls full-time. Since her parents lived in another province, she would often turn to Leo's family. Leo's father, Diego, described one occasion when Elaine showed up on his doorstep, looking terribly overwhelmed and barely making sense. Elaine and the children looked malnourished and distraught, he wrote in an affidavit. That day, Diego and his wife Anna encouraged Elaine to leave the girls with them and have herself checked into Royal Victoria Hospital's psychiatric ward. According to the nurse that admitted Elaine, she was in an awful mental state, and she feared she would hurt herself or the girls. Child Protective Services were notified of the situation and granted Diego and Anna temporary custody of the children. Elaine stayed in the hospital for 7 days while the girls were cared for by their grandparents. Meanwhile, Leo participated in alcohol and anger management counseling at the request of Elaine. The executive director of the treatment center said, "Mr. Campioni has been attending our Tuesday evening support groups to learn more about the paroles of alcohol abuse, although he shows no signs of being an alcoholic himself. In fact, since initiating his counseling sessions, he is totally abstaining from alcohol. The counseling sessions have focused on Mr. Campioni being better able to control and manage his emotions, in particular as they revolve around his frustration with his wife's alleged obsessive jealousy and mistrust of him. Mr. Campioni is a caring and loving husband and father." During his treatment, Leo was still only allowed supervised visits with his children. According to the supervisor at the center, Sophia and Serena were extremely happy to be reunited with their father. She also noticed Leo wiping away tears during their visits. Much to Elaine's dismay, Leo received positive reviews from the center's employees. When the girls returned home from their visits, Elaine would not let them talk to her about the time they had just spent with their father. After being released from the hospital, Elaine managed to get an apartment for herself and her daughters in the Coulter Glen Apartments complex in northern Barrie, Ontario. She was welcomed by new neighbors who loved seeing the girls. During the early summer of 2006, Elaine dropped the girls off with their grandparents for a second time, stating that she needed to check herself into the psychiatric hospital again. At the same time, Leo received a letter from Children's Aid stating that he was allowed to see his daughters again without supervision. In July of 2006, the girls returned to Elaine after the doctors confirmed that she was mentally sound and no longer a risk to the children. From there, Elaine's life seemed to be getting better. All summer, Elaine was seen taking the girls to the playground twice a day. She sat on the bench and watched as the girls laughed and played. One neighbor was so impressed by what she saw in Elaine that she wrote a letter to Children's Aid, applauding them for how well Elaine was doing. A couple of months later, Elaine and the girls walked in Take Back the Night, a community march that supports victims of domestic violence and empowers women to tell their stories. After that, Elaine received a Consider the Children certificate for her parenting skills and compliments from Anthony Fasciano, who worked as part of the Mental Health Day program at the Royal Victoria Hospital. He described how Elaine demonstrated motivation and insight as she dealt with her current circumstances. The following week, Elaine's neighbors noticed her giving things away. She handed out baby clothes and kitchenware. They figured she was starting fresh before her court hearing on October 3rd, where the custody battle with Leo would hopefully come to an end. As she handed off belongings and chatted with her neighbors, Elaine allegedly expressed that she was worried about the upcoming court date. She feared that she would lose custody of the girls. Just a few days later, on October 2nd, Barrie police officers were sent to the Coulter Glen apartments. Elaine Campione had called 911. Elaine greets her eldest daughter in bed, seemingly happy, wishing her a happy birthday. She then tells her to go to the living room to look at her presents. Later in the video, while her eldest daughter sits and watches TV and her youngest hangs off her back, Elaine's sanity begins to break. The camera captures her ranting about how Leo is the devil and how he will pay for what he's done.
Yes, this is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diego Campioni is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins. The same as Leonardo. All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campioni, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campioni, the mental and emotional abuse, which wouldn't stop, and I had CAS keep bringing these 2 people into my life over and over again when I kept telling them the amount of mental and emotional abuse it was causing my 3-year-old daughter Serena and I and Sophia. It was horrible and uncalled for. And I want justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me, the assaults he did to my oldest daughter Serena, and they did nothing for us. Instead, they gave him more and more rights. It's just unfair and cruel. And so many women go through this, and it's not fair. We should have been allowed to leave and go home and heal with my family, who, by the way, were foster parents, who have CS clearance, unlike his family, who are immigrants who lie and steal and do everything horrible and associate with very bad criminal people. My family doesn't. My family are all upstanding citizens. But yet, he and his family get all the rights. And my poor 3-year-old, I did everything to protect. What are you saying, Sophia? What do you want? Please? Hey, Serena? Who loves ya?
Mommy.
Who loves you the most? That much? Oh, I think I love you more than that.
Many who have seen the footage are in utter shock, unable to believe that someone could speak in such a strange manner in front of young children. It's clear that the atmosphere in the room has changed, and the girls become increasingly nervous as Elaine's speech goes on. Then, things take a turn for the worst. The last scene of this footage cuts out at 8:39 p.m. on October 1st, 2006. On the same night, at 9:27 p.m., Elaine comes back to the camera, alone. She is sitting on the couch, staring straight into the lens, explaining why she has killed her daughters. A clear confession, sure to send unpleasant shivers down the spines of those who've dared watch it. Elaine explains how it was done so Leo could forever remember the pain that he had caused them, and so they could be in heaven, safe from his abuse.
At least the girls and I will be together in heaven, protected and safe from you. You can't hurt us, you can't torture us, you can't bother me anymore. You can't sit there and control me. You have me locked into a county where I have no friends, no family. You got it so I couldn't even go see my own parents. where I need to be with my family, the people who truly love me and have always been there for me. Take my children to be in a nurturing place. Look, the photographs, Leo. My kids were happy. They were happy with me. I was a great mom. I did everything with these kids. I took them to playgroups. I took them everywhere. I did tons of crafts with them. Sang songs with them all the time. Did everything that CS told me to do. And I begged and begged and begged everyone to help me get out of this province away from you because you and your family are psychotic.
The explanation is long-winded and continues until the camera cuts again. This time Elaine is back on the couch, but considerably more subdued, mumbling about how she tried to overdose on pills, but it hadn't worked. Viewers had pointed out the hypocrisy in Elaine calling Leo the devil, when she, in fact, was the one who had killed her children. After reviewing the tapes, it was clear to the police that Elaine had attempted a murder-suicide. On the line with the operator, she calmly stated that her daughters were dead. Elaine's words were, "My children are dead. They are dead in my bed. I took a bunch of pills, and when I woke up, my daughters were dead." The pill Elaine was referring to was clonazepam, a drug that was given to her post-hospitalization to treat panic disorders and aid sleep. When the authorities arrived, Elaine led them to the bedroom, where Sophia and Serena were lying motionless in their favorite princess dresses. Their motionless bodies were holding hands and draped with rosary beads.
At any point, did you do anything in the bathroom?
I remember we sing songs. We usually sing ABCs. We usually sing the 5 little Duckies. It's like this the usual routine that we always take. That's all I remember. So we sing the same songs. We sing, Joy, Joy to the World, all the songs that they love. It's the same songs they sing over and over and over again.
Where do you think your children are now?
I assume my husband has them.
We understand you've been charged with murder. You understand that both the children, Sophia and Serena, are both deceased?
On October 9th, 2006, the people of the safe suburban retreat of Barrie packed into the St. Peter's Roman Catholic Church to mourn. There, Father Michael Corcioni gave a eulogy touching on how he had previously baptized the girls and how he had married their parents in 2002. Angels. They looked like angels. He described the 2 girls. They had blonde hair and blue eyes. They were always smiling and dancing. The tight-knit community flooded the Coulter Glen apartments with flowers, teddy bears, and candles to honor the girls and their lost lives. It served as a memorial for a city that will never forget those happy little girls who had once lived among their community. An investigation ensued for years following the event, yet little had come out to the public about the case besides the previous charges against Leo. Those charges were stayed by Crown Attorney Frank Favori. This meant that as long as no new evidence surfaced within a year, the charges would be dismissed. Leo openly spoke against Child Protective Services, who believed that he was potentially abusing his family. He blamed them because had he been allowed to stay with his children, he could have potentially saved them from their mother's mental illness. The trial for Elaine Campione didn't begin until September of 2010. Elaine's defense did not deny that she killed her children. They argued that her mental instability caused her to perform the act, and therefore no criminal intent was behind it. Campioni claimed that she didn't remember what happened to her daughters, but that she did remember calling 911 after her unsuccessful overdose. Leo's defense insisted that she had planned the murders only to spite her husband, preventing him from gaining custody of the girls. During the trial, the jury learned that Elaine had put the girls in the bath and told them to play an underwater game where they had to lie face down and blow bubbles. Once they were under the water, Elaine held them there until they stopped breathing. During the autopsies, bruises were found on the girls' foreheads that coincided with the blue bath mat at the bottom of the tub. Both girls also had water in their lungs. The court found Elaine Campione guilty of first-degree murder, and she received an automatic life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. Yet Elaine appealed her 2010 conviction, allegedly arguing that the jury had not been properly briefed to determine if she was criminally responsible. This appeal was dismissed in 2015, but in September 2019, the Parole Board of Canada agreed to allow Elaine escorted leave. It is documented that Elaine has been involved in anger management courses and is meeting with a psychologist. Elaine had 3 scheduled leaves. The first was to attend an 8-week healthy relationships program. The second was to attend Sunday Mass once a month, including Christmas and Easter, and a Celebrate Recovery program. The third was for a 2-day Divine Conference during the summer of 2020. None of these leaves took place within the Barrie area, and if you couldn't tell already by these allotted freedoms, Elaine is now considered a minimum security offender. Leonardo Campioni still mourns the loss of his little girls. He has stayed relatively quiet, never having attended Elaine's trial, but he has gone on record to say that Serena and Sophia were my life, and they still are. I found my place in life, and my peace was with them. Above all else in life, nothing brought peace to me like they did from their loving embrace. His family's impact statement is equally heartbreaking. Our time with them was cut short, our hearts broken, our lives shattered, they wrote. The emptiness of losing Serena and Sophia is something we live with every day. However, the joy and memories we shared with them will live on in our hearts forever. Despite the horrible murder that Elaine Campione committed 14 years ago, we should still take a moment to talk about mental health. Never be afraid to ask for help, and remember to reach out to your loved ones. As a society, we want to talk openly about mental health so that the people who are feeling too much can get the assistance they need. Elaine was a 31-year-old mom. She could have had a fulfilling life ahead of her, but she fell victim to her declining mental state, and the precious lives of those 2 girls were taken away. They will never have a chance to grow up or to make decisions for themselves because their mother already chose their fate for them.